Here's the after. I moved one slider, but don't worry about that. This is as simple as it can be, right? So we go from this to this. So right now, the way that I'm thinking about this is a starting point because I haven't done any additional editing. So instead of the starting point being here, right, it can be here. Now, what's cool about this, and this is my favorite thing. Actually, I'm going to say my favorite thing like 10 times. Sorry. It's like having 5 points, but you only think of 4. When we change the exposure, guess what? It doesn't blow out the highlights. So subject-aware exposure. That's actually patented tech. It's pretty cool. Sorry, I really like it. I'm like, thank you for understanding that we did not want to destroy the integrity of our photo. And this is a really good example of this. So this is not my photo. If you guys know the landscape photographer Albert Dross, he's one of my oldest friends. So every time I see him, I take his hard drive for a little while. Albert, I'm using this image. Okay, it's fine. Use it. But here's the before image. So what's fun is when we really understand how to train AI, we can not only train it to not worry about changing color, understanding that subject color is different than cast light, but then we can quickly go from this to this with one slider. So now think about doing this in any other develop module, right? So this is the key to saying, okay, developing is not editing. Editing is your style, right? We normalize something and then we make the change. So Radiant Photo's job is to make images look good so you can make them great. And the reason it's faster is because we very quickly can go from this to this. This is the default. I just opened this image. This image too. So if I zoom in here, it's actually really interesting. So this is a pretty, I say pretty typical, it's an amazing shot. But you see how it's a little bit blown out here? Radiant Photo just cleans it up. Like, so it's just as important that software does change the image, but it's equally or more than important of what it doesn't do, right? So if you have, let's say, a slider, it's 100%, and everything's almost perfectly exposed, nothing really happens. So the best compliment when people say, oh, it hardly did anything, we're like, good, right? That's good, because that's what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to not change things, right? It's supposed to understand different colors and different elements, and also preserve color separation and different things like that. I did take this photo. I know it's weird that there's a person in it. And again, it knows when you change the exposure that you're not intending to blow out the background. It understands that when we're talking about contrast and depth, we're not trying to blow different things out. So very quick. And that's really the foundation of how it works. And it's also able to edit here to here while prioritizing and maintaining every single color separately. So here, this is obviously a lot of bounce light, but we can mitigate that right away. So it just removes the cast light on the face around everything and lets all the colors work out. These are actually stock images from Adobe. The free ones, because we're a startup, right? But so it knows what colors should be, but more importantly, it knows what the colors already were, right? So sometimes it's startling when you enhance an image because you think it's messing with the color, but when you look at the before image, you realize that, oh wow, no, that was the actual color that was in the scene. So being able to maintain the structure of color throughout an editing process is only in Radiant Photo. If you start changing exposure and different things in any other application, everything starts turning gray or white, right? So that's believe it or not, this AI that we're using is 20 years old. I don't remember, it's like my grandfather's AI, right? Like I know that was like a recent thing. So 20 years of color science for this in the print industry. And I could just roll through some of these. It's so fast. But what I'm really, really proud of, and this was a recent update on our version 1.3. 1.4 just came out the other day too, is this is already a really nice natural light image, right? But by default, in Radiant Photo, it prioritizes the skin tone and cleans up the scene. There are other things that it's able to do, which are really interesting. Just giving dimension to something, before and after. And I haven't made any changes to this. But I asked one of my friends, who's an amazing photographer, to give me challenging images. Like, I want something that you think it's impossible to edit. So he sent me this. I mean, it's a crazy outfit. So we have every color here. Well, what happens if we're just trying to change exposure now with all of that calculation? So this is the fun part. So we get a lot of questions about Radiant Photo, and there are questions like, why don't we have masking? And my answer, if I really want to be sarcastic, is why would you need it? So if you were to mask an image like this, and I love the masking system in Photoshop and Lightroom. It is a game changer, right? Being able to do this. If I make a selection of the horse, will that selection cover all the anti-aliasing there? Will it be able to also correct these little spots of dust and specks of dirt? No. So we are now celebrating 2 years of Radiant Photo being available in September, October. 3.5 years I've been working on this project, and it became an obsession, but it's really fun. Because what we're actually doing and what we advertise is what it actually does. So the biggest compliment that we get is, wow, it does what it says it does, okay? What other software do we have out there that does exactly what it says it'll do?